Monahan parked in front. Docks to Caulfield. Fire. Scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Habs After Dark, everybody. My name is Devin. This is a big game, or was a big game. Saturday night game, hockey night in Canada at the Bell Centre. Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs. And I suspect that the Canadiens fans out there are probably a little bit disappointed by the result tonight. But we're going to talk about it. The Montreal Canadiens go down 7-3 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a bunch of things we can talk about that. I don't think that the score is indicative of the way the Montreal Canadiens played. Obviously, we'll talk about, the way they played and whether or not we're disappointed in the way they played, what kind of takeaways we have from a game like that. Like, are we freaking out? Are we losing our mind? I know Frank is going to be losing his mind about the goalies. So I'll wait to get to the comments, but I know Frank will be all up in arms about Sam Montembeault, and will be calling for him to be made the backup, and maybe even have his arms cut off and sent to opposite ends of the country or something like that. But anyways, if you're over there on TikTok, come on over here to YouTube. We're going to get the show going here. My name is Devin, like I said. If you're here watching live, please hit the buttons below. You can subscribe, you can hit the notification bell, and you can give us a thumbs up. Give us a like if you enjoy the show. Give us a like. We're going to see if we can get to 50 likes tonight. That is our goal. There are 7 people watching at the moment, but I think we'll go right away to the comments. Like I said, subscribers, we're trying to grow our community here, guys. We're around 260 subscribers, 265 maybe, and we're trying to get to 500. TikTok lets us do some pretty cool stuff once we get to once we get to 500, and we're working on that. So if you are enjoying the show, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching in the replay later on after the show, then we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. YouTube says that only about 35 or 40% of the people who watch the show are actually subscribed. So let's see if we can do better than that. All right, let's see what we got here. Chris Hansen says, nope, choke job. Billy D says, brutal. BRW says, miss me on TikTok, brother. I can't say I really miss TikTok, BRW. I'm sure there's some people over there that I miss, but I don't really miss TikTok. I'm looking at the TikTok over here just now, and frankly, it reminds me exactly why I'm not on TikTok anymore. Just the lack of accountability and people who are just willing to go on there and say bullshit because they're anonymous and they can get away with it is just kind of not really worth being over there. Over here, I find is a lot more civil, a lot more intelligent, a lot less, bullshit to have to filter through to get to the good stuff. But anyways, you're more than welcome here, BRW. We'd love to have you. Come on over and have a chat here. Claude says, go Habs, go. Not a great game, but it's only one game. Move on. We got a game tomorrow. Absolutely, Jimmy. There is a game to play tomorrow. I don't think this game was as bad as some people might think. Especially if you just look at the score. The team is still rebuilding. It is still a work in progress. I think overall, I think the Canadiens were I would say they were every bit as good as Toronto. Toronto obviously took advantage of their opportunities at a better rate than Montreal did. But at the same time, the first period was dominant. The Canadiens were a far better team. Unfortunately, they weren't able to hold on to that momentum, and they kind of let it get away in the second period. And then, they certainly got a lot of chances, but sort of once the momentum got away from them, Joseph Woll kind of took over the game and became the story and became the best player on the ice for both teams. So not the end of the world, but Frank says, Monty, bad night for the backup goalie. Don't tell me it's all his fault, but it is. Again, I don't know whether you watch the game with your eyes closed, Frank. Again, I appreciate you're here all the time. You referred to him as the backup goalie, which again is, beyond absurd. Your understanding of the game of hockey and what's going on with the Montreal Canadiens is literally like I don't know whether you're watching the game, like I said, with your eyes closed, or whether you're watching it, standing on your head, or I don't know what to say. Like I said, I love you. You're here all the time, but again, I don't have the ability to understand how you watch the Montreal Canadiens. Even great hockey teams lose badly sometimes. Yeah, again, I'm not sure that the Canadiens are a great team at this stage. I think they're moving in the right direction. Tonight was a night where they got out to a lead and they got immature, right? Some of those lessons that we learn, some of those lessons that they've been learning kind of went out the window tonight. They didn't put those lessons into practice tonight, right? Some of them, like we talk about dealing with adversity and how do they weather the storm and how do they, deal with things when things aren't going their way? Are they able to sort of turn it back around, right? Like, are they, they give up a couple goals. Are they able to, to sort of say, okay, let's get it back together now and get their shape back? And they certainly weren't able to do that tonight. I also wish it wasn't against the Leafs just because we're going to have to deal with our insufferable fans and, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, it also, guys, the best part about the game being over is that now I don't have to listen to those announcers on Sportsnet. I typically listen to the games in French on RDS or watch the games in French on RDS. And I just can't do TVA. But again, listening to those guys tonight, I mean, they're impossible to listen to. Frank, listen, man. Again, like I said, I love you, and you're here all the time. But again, you're pushing my patience. You're pushing my patience, Frank. And it's just, you're pushing my patience. I'll leave it at that, and you can interpret that however you want. But I would govern yourself accordingly. I left TikTok. I know I originally met you on TikTok. I left TikTok to avoid people who act the way you're acting right now. So again, govern yourself accordingly. The fourth line is really missing Heineman. Yeah, Heineman's a big loss on this team, right? Heineman contributes in a lot of different ways, and obviously he's a player that they miss. Can we talk about rum or something else? Yeah, maybe. I am drinking a little bit of it right now. We're every bit as good in the first, but there are 3 periods. Yes, again, I thought the Canadiens were the much better team in the first period. Unfortunately, like you say, there are 3 periods in a hockey game. I thought they did play quite well at for the better part of the third period, and certainly even parts of the second period. But at that point, Joseph Woll had kind of taken over the game a little bit. So I don't think the score justifies the game. The Leafs just have the capability of yeah, absolutely. The Leafs took advantage of their opportunities, Daniel. And the Canadiens didn't. Well, you're doing quite the opposite, Frank. I mean, again, I'll be honest with you. It's a little bit annoying. Your shtick gets a little bit old and annoying. I don't know whether you're a grown-up or whether you're a kid or whatever, but either way, your shtick gets a little bit annoying after a while because it's just you know this because you've been around for a while. The idea here is that we like to have civil, objective, and intelligent conversation about hockey, and you're bringing quite the opposite of that. Again, I do appreciate the support, and I do appreciate that at the end of the live, you're going to give all kinds of thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, dealing with it throughout the live is kind of one of the reasons why I left the other platforms is because, I don't want to have to filter through the bullshit to get to the real intelligent stuff. And unfortunately, you produce a lot more of the bullshit than the intelligent stuff. So, I got you, Jimmy. It's all good. Can Arbor remind me of the score? Yes. Well, again, the score was 3-0 at the time, Wendell. And again, if you've got a little bit of hockey acumen about you, you would know that the idea of fighting Ryan Reeves when you're up 3-0 made no sense. I didn't see Ryan Reeves even on the ice in the third period, so the opportunity for him to fight when it would have made sense certainly wasn't there. So. Hutson's plus minus was -5, 2 giveaways and 2 penalty minutes. Do we trade Hutson for Quinn Hughes? Trade Matheson again, George? I think your overreaction is perhaps being funny, but it's if it's not, then it's pretty sad. I mean, that was the first game since December 21st, I believe, that Lane Hutson had a negative plus minus in a game. It was obviously a very, very poor game by him. He played one of his worst games of the year. There's no doubt about it. Unfortunately, it comes against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are going to continue the narrative that he's not capable of playing good defense in the NHL. However, he's a good defensive defenseman, right? Like I said, that's the first time in, let's see, when was the last time he had a negative plus minus in a game? So he was even against Dallas. He was +3 against Utah, even against Dallas, even against Washington, +1 against Vancouver, +1 against Colorado, even against Chicago, +1 against Vegas, +2 against Tampa Bay Lightning, +2 against Florida, even against Columbus Blue Jackets, and a +2 on December 21st against the Detroit Red Wings. And the night before that, he was a -2. So he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games in a row, all consecutive games where he was a positive plus minus, or at least not a negative. He was even or better. So again, George, chem games, I know perhaps you're joking, but again, kind of a bit of a silly take. Go Leafs, go! Absolutely, great game by the Leafs. Again, there's something to be proud of there. If you're a Leafs fan, that was a great showing. The difference was Toronto goalie stood on his head, and the Habs goalie did not. Game tomorrow, Dobes should be a net question. Who will Habs call up from Laval? I'm extremely serious. Performance warrants a shakeup. Well, if you're serious, George, then perhaps this isn't the live for you. Here we do intelligent hockey talk. TikTok might be better for you in the long run. So, yeah. You go do you, man. What's up, Hunter? Let me get back to Jeffrey. I don't think we're bringing anyone up from Laval. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do think they might bring somebody up from Laval. Because they're at home now, they can bring guys up from Laval and bring them back down. Laval is on the road right now. They're in Utica tonight. They also lost tonight, I believe, 3-0. I think that was the final. I'm not sure. But yeah, they may bring guys up because I don't think they really want to mess with Laval's lineup. But if they can bring a guy up and then have him back in Laval so he doesn't miss any games, you might see them do that for tomorrow night's game. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they'll do that or not. I don't know what their schedule is for next week, but that might happen. You can't. So Joseph Wall, this and that. We scored 7 in a row. Not all because Wall. Okay. Again, Wendell, what do you want us to say? I mean, yes, you guys. Toronto played a really good game tonight, right? They came back from adversity. I think they underestimated what Montreal had for them in the first period. They came out in the second period. They obviously had a bit of a chat between periods, and they came out on fire. And the Canadiens weren't able to match them. And through the second and third period, the Canadiens weren't able to score on their opportunities, and the Maple Leafs were. I don't think that Montembeault played terribly tonight, but he certainly didn't make the saves that needed to be made when they needed to be made. And so, I agree with you that Woll wasn't the only reason why Toronto won, but he certainly was a big part of it. He certainly gave Toronto the opportunity to come back into the game, and he certainly held on to it towards the end. So it is what it is. Adam Troy, Lane Hutson. He is still supporting you. You have 17 viewers, and he shows up every night. Just ignore his comments. Wendell, man, you let me worry about that. How about, okay? How about I worry about that, and you worry about what you need to worry about. I got it. It's under control. I'm just trying to let you guys, like, if you're coming in after that game and saying that Sam Montembeault is the backup and that he needs to to go somewhere else, and then it's not an intelligent comment. Do you think Montreal can sneak in the playoffs? I think they can, Monkey. I think they can. I don't think they will. It's certainly not an expectation of mine. It's not something that I expect to see, but it's certainly possible. They have the team for it. They have the capability of doing it. Maturity and consistency is going to be the big part of how they perform for the second half of the season. Tonight I thought they showed some immaturity, right? They got beaten by a much more mature hockey team. They got beaten by a team that, is used to playing in big games. The question I asked before the game was, will the Canadiens rise to the occasion? And it certainly looked like they were going to after the first period. But then it looks like the occasion might have got to them a little bit. So, I mean, that was my big takeaway, or my big sort of, we talk about winning habits, right? A winning habit is living up to the moment. When you play in a big game like tonight's game this was probably the first game that this team has played where it would have a bit of a playoff atmosphere. It's not a playoff game. We're only halfway through the season, so it's not there. But Saturday night, Bell Center, Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a big time game. There's going to be a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of energy from the crowd. There's going to be a lot of expectation from the fans and the media. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, right? There's going to be a lot of that, and how do you respond to that, right? As a young team facing that environment for the first time, how are you going to respond to that? Like, are you going to go in and be nervous? Are you going to come out, or are you going to get over emotional and take penalties and go around and start running around hitting guys? Like, what's it going to look like? And I thought for the first period it looked really, really good, right? I thought they played their systems really, really well. The defensive zone coverage was great. The transition game, moving the puck was really, really good. It looked really good for a period, and then the air got let out of the balloon there, early in the second period, and it kind of, momentum is a really fragile thing, and they let it slip away from them. So the Habs thought they had the game after the first and stopped skating, and the Leaf goalie stole the game. Yeah, it's not a bad summary, Reno. I don't disagree with that. I think there's maybe a little bit more to it than that. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, momentum is a very fragile thing, and when you lose it, it can, it can be difficult to get back, and it can be difficult. Like it doesn't just, like, momentum doesn't just stop you. Momentum starts moving the other direction, right? And so when that momentum starts moving in the other direction against a team that's as skilled and talented as the Toronto Maple Leafs are, it can be a problem, right? They're a good hockey team, right? There's no joke. Like, that's a good hockey team over there. And so, if they're going to take advantage of their opportunities. What happened with the Rangers? You mean overall, Adam? I think they've just got a lot of turmoil going on in their dressing room right now, and within their organization. I think there's a lot of stuff going on off the ice that is taking away from their attention on the ice, and it's having a negative impact on their team. It happens. It happens sometimes. They've got a bit of a crazy owner. I don't think their GM is the best in the world, and there seems to be some issues in their dressing room, which they may or may not have addressed by trading away some of their players. But they're a team. Again, it just goes to show you how mental the game of hockey can be, right? Those are good hockey players over there. We saw, like, they've been good hockey players for the last several years, and they make the playoffs and they do well in the playoffs. I mean, last year they went to the conference final, and but then all of a sudden they can, the mojo can disappear. The mojo can disappear, if the mental side of the game is not in place. So, all right, guys, let's get to the scoreboard. There's a little bit of a lull in the comments. Before we do that, hit the subscribe button if you want to subscribe. If you enjoy the content, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, please do so. Please hit that thumbs up button. We've only got 4 thumbs up right now. Maybe I'm not doing a good job tonight. Maybe you guys aren't enjoying the show. But Marco is texting me right now, telling me he doesn't have the heart to join the show tonight. It's too much of a heartbreak for him. I get it. But let's do the scoreboard here, guys, real quick. We'll see that it wasn't necessarily as much of a blowout as the score would seem to indicate. Of course, it was a 7-3 final. We had the Canadiens in the first period. They jump out to a 3-0 lead. I'm not going to go through all of the goals tonight. I don't think it's necessarily worthwhile to go through all of them. But in detail, Kirby Dach scores the first. It's on a delayed penalty. It's from Goalie and Laine. Nick Suzuki jumps on the ice. He's the extra man when he sees the penalties about to be called. He jumps on the ice. He and Patrick Laine kind of play pass. They kind of shoot the puck back and forth there for a minute while everybody kind of gets in position. Laine then makes a really, really nice cross-ice pass to Caden Goalie all the way across the other side of the ice. And then Goalie spots Kirby Dach in the high slot, and Kirby Dach just buries it right away. No hesitation. Patrick Laine scores on the power play at 18:21. The Canadiens are again on a power play. They're moving the puck quite well. Suzuki gets the puck to the point to Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson, again, we've seen it, I guess, 10 times now. Feather pass to Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine with a one-timer. It glances off of Connor Timmins, and it beats Joe Wool up high. I think they said it was a 91-mile-an-hour shot. Again, I just don't know that there was anything Wool could have done on that shot. It was a typical Patrick Laine goal. 9 seconds later, face-off. The face-off is won by Jake Evans. He wins it back to Carrier. Carrier passes it up to Yoel Armia, who wins a bit of a board battle, chips the puck across the blue line, and the puck goes right to Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson goes in. He beats Joe Wool on a breakaway, bit of a partial breakaway, dekes him out. And the score's 3-0 after one. The shots on goal are 13-8 in favor of Montreal in that first period. Frankly, I don't even think it was that close. I thought the Canadiens carried the play. Again, the Canadiens had 3 power plays in that period. We had the Austin Matthews double minor for high sticking. By the way, guys, in case you're wondering and you're listening to the Sportsnet announcers, drawing blood on a high sticking is not the requirement for for a double minor. You can get a double minor even if there's no blood. Like if you knock out guys, teeth and there's no blood, it's still a double minor. The standard or the threshold is whether or not there's been an injury, whether you injure the player. So it's not, this idea that you're looking for blood. I guess blood is evidence of an injury that will give you the 4-minute minor, but you can call a 4-minute minor even if there's no blood. So, Craig Berube making a big deal out of that and the announcers making a big deal out of that was kind of silly. The high danger scoring chances in the first were 7-2. And the Canadiens dominated on the expected goals in that first period as well. Second period, midway through the period, Bobby McMahon, unassisted goal. Again, a bit of the puck luck that the Canadiens had. You saw it a couple times tonight, right? The Canadiens twice had, very near goals, and then Toronto took the puck down the other end and scored, right? So the first one was, Christian Dvorak gets the puck sort of in the right-hand circle, and he, blasts a shot that goes off the crossbar and then hits the glass and then bounces all the way out of the zone. And because it bounces all the way out of the zone, Bobby McMahon is able to pick up the puck. Lane Hutson gets caught in his own in the offensive zone, and McMahon goes in on a 2-on-1 with Nylander. He keeps the puck and he beats Sam Montembeault. Again, the Canadiens come, within a I almost said a bad word. Sorry, within a hair of a goal, and then the puck goes all the way down the other end, and the other team scores. Nick Robertson scores at the end of the period with a minute and 14 left. This one's a power play goal. Riley carries it out of the zone. He drops it on a slingshot to number 11. Who's number 11? Domi, I think, right? Is Domi number 11? Domi enters the zone, drops the puck to Holmberg. Holmberg makes a nice partner pass over to Ekman Larson, and then Ekman Larson fires, and Nick Robertson's kind of in the high slot, and he redirects the puck in the net. It's 3-2 after 2, and then the third period, at least goal-wise, the goal, the score in the third period was 4-0 in favor of Toronto, but yet the Canadiens, outshot them 13-12. The high danger scoring chances were 6-6. So it was a pretty even period, but again, Toronto was on a roll, and they were scoring at will in that third period. Nylander scores at the 24-second mark of the third period. So the Canadiens don't even have a chance to sort of catch their breath and get on their feet. And you're right, 5-0 in that third period. Pardon me. Nylander scores at 0:24. Ekman Larson scores on a seeing eye shot from the point at 4:31. Another one on the power play. Austin Matthews scores on that weird intervening power play. Marner enters the zone really, really smartly, stops up, buys his teammates some time, and Matthews kind of sets up shop in the high slot, and Marner feeds him with a nice pass, and he just buries one. Again, he's, arguably the best shooter in the NHL, and he proved it on that play. Then Steven Lorentz scores his 5th of the year at 14:45. He beats Hutson again. Hutson struggled tonight. Hutson had a tough game on the defensive side of things tonight. Unfortunate. But yeah, the puck ends up with Marner. Marner feeds Ekman Larsson. And then Ekman Larsson kind of sees Lorentz sitting all alone in front of the net. He feeds him, and Lorentz is able to beat Sam Montembeault. And then David Camp scores the empty netter, shorthanded empty netter. The Canadiens have a 6-on-4, and they're putting some pressure on. That last 5 minutes, the Canadiens had, 3 or 4 really, really high-quality scoring chances in that third period, that last 5 minutes or so, and they just couldn't put it away. Cole Caulfield tonight had all kinds of opportunities and just couldn't buy one tonight, right? I think he had 10 or 11 shots on goal, and just couldn't manage to put it past Joseph Woll. So that's it. The shots were 36-34. The high danger scoring chances were 18-13. So again, not only did the Canadiens lead in the high danger scoring chances, but there were a lot of high danger scoring chances by both teams. Like we've seen a lot of games this year where the high danger scoring chances are like 7-5 or 6-4, and tonight is 18-13. So it was a high event game, as they like to say, and the expected goals were pretty even. But unfortunately, when it came time to make the right saves, Joseph Woll made them. Samuel Montembeault did not. When it came time to take advantage of the scoring opportunities, Toronto was able to, and Montreal was not. So the final score is 7-3. So let's get back into the comment section here. I'm not going to get into your comments, George and Daniel. I'll let you guys chat that out. Do I think Montreal can sneak in the playoffs? What happened to the Rangers? That's where we were. Do I think Suzuki could be the leader of my team? You have the Canadiens? He is the leader of the Canadiens. Yeah, absolutely. He's absolutely the leader of the Canadiens. I think he's a fantastic leader. I think any team in the NHL will be lucky to have them as their captain. He really seemed to disappear tonight. You're gonna have to explain that to me a little bit more, Wendell. I didn't see that. I didn't see him disappear tonight. What are we looking at for his numbers tonight? Nick Suzuki, 54% expected goals percentage. Again, anything over 50% is pretty good. He was on the ice for 18 shots. So he was on the ice for 18 of Montreal's shots on goal tonight and 12 shots against. So that's a 60% shot share. Again, that's pretty impressive. So I guess I don't get. Maybe you can explain to me more what you mean by him disappearing. I don't know that I saw him disappear. Do I think Demidov makes the team next year and plays with Doc and Laine? I don't know, Jimmy. He certainly looks like he's capable of making the team next year. But the KHL isn't the NHL, and so he'll have to come to Montreal and he'll have to show that he's good enough to be there. And where he stacks up as far as the rest of the lineup goes, I don't really know. I don't know where he'll end up fitting into the lineup. It's hard to say. I don't think that Blood being a double minor is horrible, Wendell. I just don't understand what it is, how it is that people have started to think that because there's Blood, it's automatically a double minor. Laine is miles ahead of Matthews. It's kind of insane, regardless of the results. 2 points for Laine. Okay, all right. I guess we're not going to take him very seriously, are we? If you have a minor scratch, it's a double mix. Again, that's the point. The rule doesn't say that it is that, right? The rule doesn't say that you have to be bleeding or that you don't have to call a double minor if he's bleeding. So everything went wrong for the Canadiens after the first. Yeah, and that's kind of a maturity thing, right? Like good teams make their own luck, right? Good teams make their own luck. They take advantage of their opportunities and they bear, a good team, a mature team, when they get another team down 3-0, they bury them. They don't give them an opportunity to get into it. Hutson, a young defender, I don't watch enough of him, but I know what it takes for him to develop should he not be in the NHL. Wendell, did you not hear the beginning of the show? That was the first game since December 21st that Lane Hutson had a negative plus-minus. So he had a plus-minus in 13 consecutive games before tonight. Can we stop with that stupid narrative? That stupid narrative that's coming from people that don't watch Lane Hutson play hockey? The stupid narrative that is coming from people who think that just because he's 5'10", he's not able to play defense in the NHL? He's a plus 13 coming into tonight's game in his last, since December 21st. Right? He's on the season, I guess now he's a minus 12. 8 of those are empty net goals. In fact, 9 of them, because I think he was on the ice for the empty net goal tonight. Right? So like, can we please be informed about our takes on people? Like, it's so frustrating to hear people push that narrative when they don't have, the first clue of what they're talking about. Again, I appreciate I'm taking it out on you, Wendell, but the reason is that there are so many people who are pushing that narrative, and it's not just fans, it's media as well. Right? There are people in the media who are pushing this narrative, and tonight will be an "I told you so." Right? Everyone is going to be like, "Oh, I told you, Lane Hutson can't play defense, -5 against the Toronto Maple Leafs," but yet they ignore the previous 13 games where he's improved his defensive game by leaps and bounds, and in fact probably been one of the best defenders on the Montreal Canadiens over the last month or so. So again, the problem and the reason I'm frustrated about that is that narrative just builds and builds. It snowballs when people start saying stuff like that without knowing what they're talking about. What do you put Hudson's struggles down to tonight? Well, he's a young hockey player, Daniel. He's going to have bad nights, right? He's playing against really good players, and I just think that he struggled. I mean, he's a 20-year-old kid who's never played more than 42 games in a season, and tonight was game 44 of the season. There's been a lot of travel. They just traveled, back and forth across the country twice in the last week and a half. I really don't know what. I mean, he hasn't really shown much vulnerability so far this year. I would say that it's going to be interesting to see how he responds tomorrow. So we'll see. Matthews has 18 goals and 35 points. Yes. He's a very good hockey player, Miggs. Really good hockey player. Larry, welcome. It was just a high-emotion game, and the Habs showed how young they are. Good news, though, they will learn a lot from this experience. MSL will learn a lot about this team. Yeah, absolutely. Again, the question coming into this game was whether or not the Canadiens would be able to rise to the occasion, right? Whether they would be able to match the emotion of the occasion. They're going to walk on the ice in the Bell Center on a Saturday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the better teams in the league, obviously a huge rival of theirs, a team that, they always want to win games against Toronto, and so how are they going to react and respond to that? And they did well initially, and then it just kind of fell apart. Miggs, he's not being serious. Just ignore him, man. Blackwater Canyon, Lane Hutson is a beast. Leave him alone. The guy does more than anyone in the league. Yeah, I don't know about he does more than anyone in the league, but he's playing very, very well. He's a spectacular defenseman. He's a really good hockey player, and I'm not concerned about him. In fact, I would be really, really, really worried about what he. If I was the New York Rangers tomorrow, I wouldn't be looking forward to having to deal with him tomorrow. I think he's going to be a handful tomorrow. Leafs were fast tonight, and Monty didn't come up with the big saves when he needed them. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment of Montembeau's game. Again, I don't think he played terribly, but again, what's been happening over the last 15 games or so when the Canadiens have been playing quite well is their goaltenders are giving them the big saves when they need them, and they just that wasn't there tonight. 2 post turns into 2 goals for the Leafs. Well, there was 1 post and then one that ended up like on the goal line. And then ended up going down the other end for a goal. So the Leafs deserve the win, but I don't think. Again, that's a great assessment, Clovey. Right? The Leafs definitely deserve the win. They were the better team tonight, but again, 7-3 is not indicative of the way the two teams played. So I was just trying to lighten the mood, buddy. I knew you were going to say that at the beginning, so that's why I only did it as a joke, but I don't take it so. Well, again, Frank, I appreciate that if that's what you were trying to do, but you do it every time, every show, right? So again, if it's, it just doesn't come off as funny when you do it all the time, I guess. Like if you never do it and then you do it, it's kind of maybe a funny joke, but if you do it seriously all the time, then it doesn't really come off that funny. So I was watching a guy on TikTok. He said that Lane is horrible defensively and won't ever hit more than 50 points. Well, again, there is a segment of the Toronto and Ottawa fan base that are petrified of what Lane Hutson is going to mean for their teams for the next 15 years. And so they're pushing a narrative that they're looking for anything negative about his game. And unfortunately tonight they're going to use this game to continue to push that narrative. But the narrative is just completely off base. It makes no sense. You don't understand, you don't understand the game of hockey if you think that Lane Hutson has or is struggling defensively in the NHL. He just hasn't been. So all right, gang, we're gonna get to the A team, but before we do, can we get some thumbs up? We got 75 comments. We got 25 people watching the show right now, and we only have 12 likes, 12 thumbs up. Last Saturday night we got 60. Last Saturday night we got 60 likes, and now we got 12. Again, I mean, if I'm doing a crappy job, that's fine. Give me a thumbs down if I'm doing a crappy job. But give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you like the show, give us a thumbs down. If you hate the show, give us a thumbs up. Sorry, other way around. If you like the show, give us a thumbs up. If you hate the show, give us a thumbs down. Just let me know how we're doing. Thoughts on the refs tonight? I thought they were okay. I didn't think they were that bad. I do have an issue, as always, with these automatic penalties that we have in the NHL, right? If a guy steps on your stick or your stick causes another guy to fall, regardless of whether there's intent or whether, whatever there is, if your stick makes a guy fall down, that's a penalty. But, we saw that it isn't a penalty all the time, right? And the problem with automatic penalties is if you have automatic penalties, you need to have robots for the referees, right? If you have automatic penalties, you need to call them automatically. And so if that's an automatic penalty, if your stick coming horizontally across your opponent's body is automatically a hooking call, then you need, if touching the opponent on the gloves or the hand area with your stick is automatically a slashing, regardless of how hard you hit them, whether you have one hand on your stick or two, if those are going to be automatic penalties, then they need to be automatic penalties. The problem is that they're not automatic, and they happen so often in the course of a hockey game that when the referees decide that they're not going to call that, it impacts the game, right? It impacts the game. And so there was at least, 2 or 3 instances of that tonight where those automatic penalties were not so automatic. And one of them was a big one. I think the Canadiens were already on a power play. And, so that, again, I don't have, I didn't think that the referees were, as bad as they have been tonight, but they were, yeah, they were okay tonight. I thought they were okay in the grand scheme of things. Blackwater, look, Habs were up 3-0 and hit 2 posts and missed a few blank opportunities. This game could have been. Yeah, again, I don't know if I would say it was going to blow up, but again, I think the Canadiens played a decent game, and I'm not disappointed overall with the performance. I'm not going to walk out of here saying that was a terrible game and that they've regressed back to where they were in October. I don't think that's anywhere near the case. So. You guys are going to have the Line A Matthews argument, are you? Well, good luck with that. The reality is they're both pretty good hockey players. They both have fantastic talent. Matthews is the better goal scorer right now. We'll see what Line A looks like after he, is able to stick in the lineup consistently for a long period of time. I think Matthews' offensive game is a little bit more multi-dimensional than Linez is right now. But again, Patrick Laine is very capable of putting the puck in the net. So again, I don't know that. I mean, if you're asking me who's the better, all around hockey player, I think it's Austin Matthews right now. But again, I don't. Again, two guys can be good, man. One guy doesn't have to be shitty for the other guy to be good. So again, if you guys are still arguing with George Chem games, you're probably wasting your time because he's really not serious. He's only trying to get a rise out of you, and he's only trying to, see how dumb of an argument he can get you to respond to, and you guys are responding. The refs have too much control in the game. Yeah, there's too much discretion there for the referees. I don't disagree with that. Again, those penalties, those so-called automatic penalties happen so often in the course of a game that it does provide the referees with a real opportunity to, to put their fingerprints on a game at a rate that they probably shouldn't. So I wish the NHL was officially like the IIHF. All penalties are called, and consistent NHL refs pick and choose. Yeah, that's probably true, Wendell. Again, I think that there's problems with IIHF reffing as well, but I'm not a big fan of those automatic penalties. I think you should have referees who are properly trained in game management and understanding the game of hockey, and you give them a level of discretion to call penalties in certain circumstances. I think that's what you do, right? You define what the penalties are in a better way, and you give the referees the proper training to call the games properly. Yeah, it should be interesting, Clovey. Should be an interesting game tomorrow. Laine and Matthews are both great, but you got to show up in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think either one of them have really done that as of yet. So, anyways, let's get to the A-team, guys. So the A-team, as you guys may or may not know, is basically my version of the 3 stars. Instead of 3, we pick 4 because of the great 1980s television show, The A-Team. 4 members: Hannibal, Face, Murdoch, and B.A. So we're going to show you the 4 members of the A-Team, and you guys are going to tell me whether I'm crazy, whether I'm right, whether you agree, whether you disagree, if there's guys that you think should be there or guys that you think shouldn't be there, vice versa, all that good stuff. So here we go, guys. So there's your A-team for tonight, guys. Those are the players I believe had the best performances for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. Again, I thought there was some mixed reaction or mixed performances tonight for the Canadiens. Kirby Dach, Cole Caulfield, Caden Gooley, and Alex Newhook. Alex Newhook, I feel like has now played a few really good games in a row. I think he's been one of the team's better performers over the last little while. It's it's a matter of time, I think, before he starts getting some results on the scoreboard. I look forward to that. We've already seen Kirby Dach kind of getting back on track a little bit. He scored the first goal of the game tonight. He looked good tonight. He was skating. He was hitting. He was winning battles on the boards. He looked competitive. He looked energetic. All that good stuff. I thought he looked good. Alex Newhook, I think that whole line looked good. Patrick Laine played well tonight as well. Patrick Laine is kind of an interesting one because he kind of looks like he skates in slow motion a little bit, but I think it's more, his stride makes him look that way rather than, him actually being slow. So I think it was an interesting game for that line, and I thought they played quite well. Cole Caulfield again. What was the final count for shots on goal for Cole Caulfield tonight? Okay, so the NHL has decided that there it is. It's back. Cole Caulfield finished with 10 shots on goal tonight. Again, snake bit all night, but he had multiple chances to score. Joe Woll played really, really well, especially in the second half of the second and the third period, and kind of, shut Cole Caulfield down. And Cole Caulfield could have had, 3 or 4 goals tonight, no problem. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But again, it doesn't mean he didn't play a good game. And Caden Gooley, I thought, played really, really well tonight. Stellar defensive game. We're starting to get used to that from him. moved up on the offense a little bit tonight. We haven't seen a lot of that from him. He had a couple scoring opportunities that we're not used to seeing from him. So again, I think his game is really coming around, and I'm excited to see where that goes. So it should be interesting. So we got Doc, Caulfield, Goalie, and Newhook. Are we in agreement with those guys? Is there anyone you think I missed that should be on there? Are there any guys on there that I have on there that you think don't belong there? So, what do you think? What do you think of that? Laine has to make the playoffs. I'm not sure if he's played any playoff games yet. It's easy to find out, isn't it? It's easy to find out. So Patrick Laine has played in 24 NHL playoff games. So again, Wendell, you say he has to make the playoffs. He already has. Again, I just proved and showed to you how easy it is to actually look things up, right? So Wendell, one of the things that I really like to promote is if you're going to be critical and you're going to be throwing hot takes around on the internet, or at least on my show. I don't care what you do elsewhere, but like I'm a big fan of people who inform themselves before they say things. Like I just showed you, it literally takes 5 seconds to find the evidence to support your position or your argument, right? So if you're going to suggest that Laine has never made the playoffs, then you're wrong. And again, you're entitled to look wrong. I guess you're entitled to have opinion, but again, we kind of prefer here to have opinions that are supported by facts, right? So again, it doesn't take much to do that. So he's got 16 points in 23 NHL playoff games, right? So maybe you take the 10 seconds to make yourself look smart next time, Wendell. I think the calls that were called tonight were all penalties. The Suzuki call probably shouldn't be a 4, but it is what it is. I don't agree with that, Daniel. Why shouldn't it be a 4? Why shouldn't it be a 4? It was a pretty aggressive high stick. Again, you can argue. I thought that were all the other trying to think of any. Yeah, the penalties tonight. There weren't very many soft penalties tonight. Should put Monty on the A list. Okay, now I just think you're being stupid. Again, it doesn't have to be bleeding or any of that stuff. So you liked Matheson's game tonight. He looked decent. Matheson always looks pretty good, right? He's a very smooth skater and whatever. But he had a decent game tonight. We had a good game tonight. Can we compare his stats to Laine's playoff stats? Curious. You could. Yeah, why don't you do that, Wendell? Why don't you do that, and then you can come into the chat and tell us what they are. That's a really easy thing to do, man. Why don't you do that? Good channel, by the way. Thank you for doing this. It's all good. I appreciate that, Blackwater Canyon. A loss like this hurts. I get it. But again, we've been feeling pretty good as Montreal Canadiens fans of late. Maybe we need a kick in the arse every once in a while, right? The Canadiens are not going to win 8 out of every 10 games for the rest of the season. It's just not going to happen. So, okay, Mario. Honestly, so here's the question. I want to deal with this question. This is an important question. Let's do this. Let's get into this here. So Mario asks me this question right here. So there's so much to talk about here. Mario Laponte. On va parler en anglais ou en français, Mario? Tu préfères quoi? Anyways, I'm going to deal with this question. So first of all, Mario says honestly. So he's trying to let us know that he's being honest, that he really, really means this. It's not just something that he's, randomly throwing out there. When somebody puts honestly at the beginning of a statement, it means that, they're serious about it, right? They're not just kind of, they're just not kind of throwing darts at the wall. What if the Habs took a stab at Miller for Slavkovsky? Okay. Does anybody know how old JT Miller is? I'll tell you. JT Miller is 31 years old. He'll be 32 in 2 months. He has so far this year, he has 29 points in 34 games. Uri Slavkovsky has 24 points in 42 games. Now, I get that there's much more to JT Miller's game than just his offensive production. He's a great leader. But I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Canadiens won't take a chance at JT Miller, Mario. And I'll tell you why they shouldn't take a shot at JT Miller. 1, he's too old. The Canadiens are rebuilding, right? And rebuilding means that you're committed to moving forward with your, within your organization, but more specifically with younger players, with your prospects, with the players that you have drafted and you have brought along yourself. So that's reason 1 why they won't go for JT Miller. 2, bringing JT Miller into the lineup blocks the progress of young prospects. Kent Hughes has said this, I don't want to say dozens of times, but multiple times in various interviews and press conferences that the Montreal Canadiens are not going to bring in an older player who would then block the route or the road or the avenue to the NHL of the younger prospect players that are either in Laval or coming up through various other parts of the minor hockey world. 3, Uri Slavkovsky is 20 years old. Uri Slavkovsky is 20 years old. He had 50 points last year. He's on pace to have more than that, or right around the same amount this year. Uri Slavkovsky is a really, really good hockey player who is going to be a really, really good hockey player, and is going to continue to develop. And the idea of of quitting on him or abandoning what he is capable of, while he's still 20 years old is just it's an absurd suggestion. 4th reason is JT Miller has an attitude problem, right? JT Miller, obviously is a guy. He's a gamer. He plays hard. He's whatever. But he's an asshole, right? It's well known that he's an asshole. He doesn't get along most places where he goes to play. Like the fact that he's in a having a personality conflict with Elias Pettersson right now is not a surprise. That's JT Miller. And the Montreal Canadiens have made it clear that they're trying to create a culture and they're trying to create an environment where certain players are involved, and so that's just not going to happen, right? They're not going to bring a guy in who runs the risk of ruining the culture that they've created within their organization. And the 5th reason is that frankly, even now at the age of 31. He's only marginally better than Uri Slavkovsky, right? Slavkovsky obviously has struggled a little bit this year. He hasn't struggled, but he struggled in relation to the to the expectations of certain fans like you, who think that he's not performing up to any type of level. But he's 20 years old, and so 29 points or 24 points for Slavkovsky, and I believe I said 29 points. I think for JT Miller. So again, their number. I mean, obviously Miller's played a few fewer games, but again, I don't see the benefit of bringing in JT Miller. Again, it's just if you're suggesting that that's a possibility or that they should do that. 1, you're not paying attention to the messages that the Montreal Canadiens are sending you, and 2, again, I think you're putting your emotional reaction to the team and to what's going on with the team ahead of intelligent, informed analysis about the Montreal Canadiens. Matheson makes too many mistakes, in my opinion. Again, I feel like Matheson gets a bit of a bad rap. He does make mistakes, but again, everybody does. And, he's on the ice more than any other player for the Montreal Canadiens, so he's going to make, a lot of them, and I think people are going to take notice of them. I don't think that he makes, more mistakes per capita than anybody else on the team. Are you guys still talking about Matthews versus Laine? Come on, man. What a dumb argument to waste your time on. Billy D, 31. Yes, he is 31. He has 200 plus hits a year. Okay, good for him. So good for him. What does that mean for you? Of course it blocks people. What are you talking about? The Montreal Canadiens are building with young players, Mario. Slav is a gamble. He's not okay. All right, man. I'm going to abandon that conversation because I think I made my point. You can continue to make your point if you like. But again, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I would invite you to spend a little bit more time listening to what the coaching staff is telling you, listening to what the management is telling you, and listening to the messages that they're sending you about what this team is about and what the plan is. I would invite you to spend a little bit more time paying attention to that, and a little less time paying attention to your emotional reactions to the team. JT is a PMSer. Okay, Yemi. Okay. JT will be 33. Yes. Again, there's a dozen reasons why JT Miller isn't a fit for this team. All right, Blackwater. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, guys, hit the button down below. Hit the button down below, and feel free to subscribe. Hit the notification button. Give us a thumbs up. 16 thumbs up, guys. There's 14 people here. You said Miller is marginally better than Slav, dude. You know nothing about hockey. Okay, well then go somewhere else, Mario. You've already proven that you don't know anything about hockey. He is only marginally better than Slav. He is. Right? Say what you want. I watched him play the other day. He played the Canadiens. Right? You get all excited. You can fall in love with JT Miller. Go watch the Vancouver Canucks, man. Go be a Canucks fan if you love JT Miller so much. JT Miller is a decent player in streaks, but when he decides he gets pissed off and doesn't want to play anymore, he doesn't play anymore. I'm not interested in that guy. I'm not interested in that guy. He's an asshole. He's an inconsistent producer. He's not a team player. There's multiple issues with JT Miller. You come back and tell me, okay, well, good for him. Good for him. He's a 100-point player. There's lots of 100-point players in the NHL. Uri Slavkovsky was a 50-point player in the NHL as a 19-year-old. So again, I've made my point. You've made your point. You can move on. It's not the same premise. It's not the same premise. They took no risk on Patrick Laine. They took none. Zero risk at all. What risk did they take on Patrick Laine? Explain to me the risk that they took, Mario, on Patrick Laine. They traded him for Josh Harris. They traded him for Harris, and they got a second-round draft pick in return. What was the risk? Do we have one? Do we have one who's already scored 100 points? No, we don't. Do we need one? Do we need one, Mario? Do we need a 100-point player? Like, do you think that is it possible that someday Nick Suzuki might be a 100-point player? Is it someday maybe a Cole Caulfield could be a 100-point player? Is it maybe someday Demidov could be a 100-point player? What if they have 3 or 4 80-point players? Is that okay? Can they do that? I know. Jordan Harris. I got mixed up, Kyle. I got tongue-tied. Okay, so $8 million that they can afford to pay because they're in a rebuild. They're not trying to win the Stanley Cup, so they can afford to eat his contract, and they got a second-round draft pick for him. And they traded away a defenseman that, essentially wasn't even going to play. And they met and were able to talk to Patrick Laine in depth before they signed him to know whether he was going to be an issue in the dressing room. Zero risk in the dressing room, as it turns out, right? So we're 8 months down the road, 6 months down the road, whatever it is, with Patrick Laine, and he's zero issue in the dressing room. Zero issue in the dressing room. Okay, well, so do you think that JT Miller is going to score 100 points again in his career, Mario? So if we're talking about what ifs, so do you think that because JT Miller, oops, pardon me here, I just hit the wrong button here. Quit. I don't want to do that. because JT Miller, by the way, had a 103-point season last year. Do you think that that's he's going to do that on a regular basis? He's in his 30s now. So on that basis, would you trade JT Miller for Nick Suzuki? I'm just trying to figure out my logic and where you think Lane is better than Matt. When did I say that? Yeah. Again, Mario, I think I'm going to move on from this argument because I don't think there's any point in it. Obviously, you and I have different opinions. I don't think you've provided me with any of evidence to support your opinion, but in any event, I think we'll just move on from it. How about that? How about that? Okay. Again, so Mario, I said it politely now 3 times. I've said it politely now 3 times. I'm going to say it a little bit more forcefully. Drop it. Just drop it. Okay? We've both made our points. You've made your point. I've made my point. You're not going to change my mind. I'm obviously not going to change your mind. Let's just move on from it. If you want to talk about something else, feel free. If you want to give me a thumbs down because you think I'm an asshole, you can do that too. But let's just move on from it, okay? I don't think you understand what's going on with the Montreal Canadiens. Oh, so you're going to laugh about it? Okay, well, if you're going to be a dick, you'll just ban you. So again, Mario's gone. I apologize, guys, that you guys had to, that's not what I do here. This is not TikTok, right? It's not Twitter, so I'm not interested in all that. Oh, you're talking to George? Okay, Wendell. All right, gang, there's 21 of you in the room right now. We've only got 17 thumbs up. Right down here, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. If you're not enjoying the show, hit the thumbs down. Let me know. Give me some kind of reaction. Let me know what's going on. What just happened there? I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, let me know what you think of the show, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Last week we got 60 thumbs up on Saturday night. It was our biggest amount yet. We try to get to 50. So the last step tonight, guys, is going to be our report card. I did some changes to the report card, guys. I believe the thumbs up is on the screen down below. Am I right on that? Yeah, it should be like right down there-ish. Right there. I think. That's where it is on mine anyway. So I did some changes to the report card. I think the Canadiens have kind of moved to a different stage of the rebuild right now. So I changed some of the headings in our rebuild. In our report card. So obviously we kept the 3 goals or fewer and the 3 goals or more for and against. Tonight they obviously allowed more than 3 goals. They also scored 3 goals, so they get 1 check mark and 1 fail, 1 X. They allowed 7, unfortunately. Special teams tonight I don't think was particularly good. They allowed a couple of power play goals against, and they didn't really perform that great on the power play. They're only 1 for 5, and they allowed 2 power play goals against. The special teams, again, so not that great. Actions that help the other team, right? That's a big talking point of Marty St. Louis. Did the Canadiens do a lot? Did they make mistakes tonight that gave the other team opportunities? I don't think they really did. I think that the reality is that Toronto had opportunities that they created themselves and they took advantage of them. I don't know that there were a ton of bad turnovers. Like none of the goals tonight were ones where you go back and say, oh God, that guy coughed up the puck or gave the puck to the other team in a dangerous spot. So again, I'm happy to give them a passing grade there tonight. I don't think they did much that helped the other team. Weathering the storm was a bit of a problem, right? We've talked about weathering the storm in the past. When you're playing against good hockey teams, regardless of how good you are, there's going to be parts of the game where they're playing well, where they're putting pressure on you, they're getting scoring chances, they're getting opportunities. There's going to be, parts of the game where that happens, and sometimes you're going to have to find a way to weather that storm so that you can then sort of come back and finish and play your side of the game, right? Tonight, I don't think they did that very well. So, they got out to the 3-0 lead after the first period. They had to know that Toronto was going to come out strong in the second period. They had to know that there was a storm coming and that they were going to have to try and weather it. And they weren't able to tonight. We saw them weather the storms against, Dallas. We saw them weather the storm, against Washington. They've been able to do that. But tonight they weren't able to do that. So they get a failing grade there. Dealing with adversity, again, I think this is a big part of being a mature team is that, when things go badly, are you able to respond in a positive way? Are you able to sort of turn things back around, right? When the momentum kind of shifts away, you've got momentum and then it kind of shifts in the other direction. Can you right the ship? Can you turn it back in your direction, in your favor? Tonight, I don't think they did that, right? When Toronto scored that goal early, midway through the second period, and then they scored that one, early in the third period. It was, the Canadiens, I thought that I shouldn't say that they didn't do anything to respond to that adversity. They certainly had their opportunities. I thought they played well, but they couldn't take advantage of those opportunities. So I guess that might be a bit of a tough one, but I will give them a failing grade there. The FU factor, I thought they showed that FU factor tonight. They showed that they cared. They stood up to the Maple Leafs tonight. The physical game was there. Arbor Jackeye laying out Ryan Reeves was kind of fun to watch. I think that FU factor was there, and honestly, despite the score, I think they did play a full 60 minutes tonight. Right? I think they did play a full 60 minutes tonight. So I'm happy to give them a passing grade there. So, do you agree with the report card tonight, guys? Agree, disagree? What would you change? Is there anything there that you would change if you were in my shoes? Let me know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, guys. We've only got 18. Hit the subscribe button if you are watching the show live. If you're watching in a replay, we're trying to grow the community here. We're trying to give you guys a place where you can have intelligent conversation about hockey, about the Montreal Canadiens. And, I can only do that if you guys, sign up and want to be part of it. I can't do it all myself. The more people, the better. So if you want to subscribe, hit the button down below and hit the thumbs up. We have 17 of you are in the room right now. We have 18 likes so far. All you got to do is just hit that button that's down. It's actually kind of over there a little bit. Mike, Leafs fan here. Habs are in a much better spot than I thought they'd be by this point. They look good. What's the deadline look like in Montreal? Good question, Mike. I agree. The Canadiens do look better than perhaps we anticipated they would at this stage. It is a rebuild. I'm not surprised that they're doing well. Maybe we're surprised that they're doing well, this quickly. That maybe it was going to take a little bit longer. But what does the deadline look like for the Canadiens? I would say the deadline looks pretty quiet for them. I think that they're probably not going to do a whole lot. I think there might be a couple veterans on the team that they will unload if they get a decent offer for them. I don't think they'll be looking to add anything to the roster. I mean, they're not going to add anything to the roster. We need this guy if we want to make the playoffs. I don't think it's not a playoffs or bust situation for the Canadiens. So I don't think you're going to see them looking to add any real significant components to their team. They have 2 picks in the first round again this year. They'll be looking to use those, I would expect. And like I said, Savard, Armia, Dvorak, Evans, those guys are kind of guys who might go somewhere, guys who are on expiring contracts and probably don't fit into the long-term plans. Evans is maybe the exception to that. Evans might fit into the long-term plan. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. How did they fall off so drastically? They were up 3-0. It happens, man. Toronto's a good hockey team. They're very capable of scoring a lot of goals in a short period of time. I thought that the Canadiens had a lot of opportunities and weren't able to convert on them. And the Toronto goaltender certainly outplayed the Montreal goaltender in the second half of the game for sure. So that's pretty much what happened, Kyle. I thought Joe Woll played really, really well. I don't think Montembeault played terribly, but again, I think he just didn't make the big saves when it was needed. Welcome, Zach. What's going on? Welcome back. Thank you for coming. Hard pill to swallow. just dropped in to give a thumbs up. I appreciate it, Entertap. Was that a tough one to watch? Trying to figure out how to allow you to be I think I have to do it in the actual chat. Pardon me. I'm just going to do this right quick. Right quick. Where is my friend Entertap? There. You're a moderator, Entertap. Good lesson to learn tonight. Let's just hope they are able to grow from this and not fold from now on to the rest of the year. Again, yes. I mean, it's momentum, right? Entertap, and I think we talked at length, on this show and on Coach's show, and even in the chat, our group chat, we've talked about carrying momentum from one game to the next, right? It's great that you go out and play a fantastic game, but how long can you keep that up for? Can you keep it up for one game, 2 games? Is it who you become? Like, is that who you are, as a team going forward, or is it just a one-time thing? And so, yeah, this is, that kind of works in reverse as well, right? How do you recover from a game like this? How do you recover from, a heartbreaking type loss where against, a big rival, are you able to turn the ship around or right the ship? We'll see tomorrow. Luckily, we don't have to wait too long to find out, right? George, listen, man. I've you're a bit much, so calm it down or go somewhere else. Okay, how about that? Does Wayne Gretzky have the honor of scoring 4 goals in his first game? Just stop commenting, please. There'll be a seller if anything. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know that it's so much of them being a seller as much as it's just like they've got guys who are on expiring contracts, and rather than lose them for nothing, they'll look to try and get some kind of a return for them. I think there's a possibility they may want to sign Armia for a short-term contract based on what he's been doing of late. All right, George. See you later, bud. Sorry about that, Wendell. Wendell went hardcore on him. Wendell gave him the knockout punch. Wendell gave George the knockout punch there. Mike says David Savard, Jake Evans, they're going to make moves. I like Kent Hughes. He's done well with his trades. Yeah, that's the one thing about Kent Hughes is I think you can feel pretty comfortable. Yeah, I blocked him, Zach. I think you can feel pretty comfortable that he's going to make the right moves at the right time. You're right. We haven't felt that way in Montreal for a long time. We haven't had a GM where we felt, I haven't anyway, felt confident that, what he does will be the right move and the right thing at the right time. I feel that way about Kent Hughes, whether it's a move he does make or a move he doesn't make. What I really like about this team is that they have a long-term plan in place. And, the moves that they are making are designed with that plan in mind. They're not sort of deviating. They're not sort of responding and reacting in a knee-jerk way to, short-term results. They're reacting to, the plan. How does this fit within our plan? Like, right now, with the way the Canadiens are playing over the last, 5 or 6 weeks, it's, it's part of the plan. It's what they expected, but they, you don't know when it's going to happen. And so, you have to adapt to the result. Like they knew this was going to happen eventually. They knew that this team would improve. And they knew that they would start playing well and they would start, developing winning habits and learning the lessons that were being taught to them. But they didn't know when it would happen. And so now that it is happening, what does that do? How does that fit within your plan? How does that, how does that impact your plan? Like, what do you do next? Like, do you, Do you go out and try and sign a bunch of free agents because now you're a playoff team or you're close to a playoff team and now you have to add a bunch of guys? No, for me, you don't, and I don't think that's the plan. That was Detroit's plan, and it seems to have failed. That kind of was Toronto's plan. I don't think Toronto was rebuilding ever. But again, I think history shows us that trying to speed up a rebuild or trying to change directions in the middle of a rebuild is not a recipe for very good success. Cheese Wizard, yes, it was 3-0. You are correct. No worries, Wendell. Again, Wendell, I don't believe that he had any real intention of making legitimate arguments. I think he really was just looking to see how dumb of an argument he could make and still get people to respond to it. So my advice in the future would be just to you can block guys. I think you can hit a block button, and so their comments won't show up in your feed anymore. So maybe try that next time. Wool really kept the Leafs in the game in that first period. Could easily have been 5-0 or more. Yeah. And again, I thought, even in the second and third, he was, Cole Caulfield could have had 5 goals tonight and it wouldn't even have been a surprise. So Larry says, I really hope that Habs don't get down on themselves for the Rangers game. They are young and I'm sure they are embarrassed for the loss tonight. Yeah, I think it can go either way tomorrow, Larry. I'll be interested to see how it goes, whether the impact of this game carries over negatively into tomorrow's game, or whether it carries over positively. Whether they take some lessons from this game and do something different tomorrow, or whether they mope and carry it over negatively. I frankly think there will be a positive that comes out of this. One, I don't think they played terribly tonight. Right? It's not a game where this was not a 9-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins or the 8-2 or 8-3 or whatever it was against the Kraken. Like this was not that game, right? The score might look like that, but this wasn't a game where they just fell apart and quit and gave up, or again, I don't think they ever quit and gave up. But this wasn't one of those games where they just got blown out of the building. Even late in the game tonight, they were the score was 5-3, and they were getting more scoring chances than the Maple Leafs, and they just couldn't convert. I've seen this from the Sens over the years, hot flashes of greatness, but ultimately not enough talent. I think this is a little bit different than that, Cheese Wizard. And again, it's different in that the difference here is that, when those hot flashes happened in Ottawa, they took it as a sign that they could deviate away from their efforts to rebuild their lineup. The Canadiens are not doing that, right? The Canadiens are not going to change their plan whether this hot streak continues for the rest of the year or whether they go back to the way they were playing in November. It's not going to change. It's not going to change their plan. The plan is to play with these guys, to continue to work with these guys, and to make them better hockey players. And then for the next wave of prospects to come up and bolster the group that's already here. Right. The plan is to win with these guys. They're not going to abandon that plan. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That's what a lot of people didn't understand in October and November when everybody was freaking out and getting ready to jump off a bridge because the Canadiens were not playing the way people thought they should. Right? This is all part of the plan. A late second period goal, early third period goal, power play goal, and shorthanded goal in the span of 8 minutes sealed the Habs' fate. Yeah, and the fact that they couldn't capitalize on their own opportunities. Entertap, I agree with that. You thought Reeves and Jack-Eye were going to fight. Jack-Eye's a little bit more valuable to his team than Ryan Reeves is, Zach. He certainly isn't going to fight Ryan Reeves when his team is up 3-0 in the first period. That definitely wasn't going to happen. Reeves, I don't think, got a lot of ice time in the third period. I can check that. I guess I can't check what he had in the third period. So, Arbor Jack-Eye had 14 minutes of ice time tonight, and Ryan Reeves had 6.5. Right? So for Arbor Jack-Eye to fight Ryan Reeves, you're taking a defenseman off the ice, first of all. Losing a defenseman is a lot harder to swallow than losing a forward for 5 minutes. And second of all, Arbor Jack-Eye contributes to Montreal's game in a far more significant way than Ryan Reeves does. So, I don't think you're going to see Jack-Eye fight Reeves definitely not going to fight when he's up 3-0. The only time you're really going to see those two guys fight is if Ryan Reeves does something that, warrants, a fight, or the game is just over and it doesn't really matter either way. It's all good, Wendell. I feel you, man. I'm the same way. You can see that I'm the same way. It boils my blood, but again, I've got experience with it, and it's one of the reasons why I left TikTok is because there's so many people over on TikTok that's their sole intent is to see if they can get you riled up, and it is what it is. Will I be live tomorrow? I probably will be, Zach. It's been a busy week for me. So there's a possibility I may decide not to do a show after the game tonight. But again, there's really not much going else on Sunday night. So I probably will go live after the game. I think I did. What did I do this week? I think I did 3 shows with Coach, and the Canadiens are now. This is their 3rd game of the week. So I've done six live shows this week already. I did 2 shows with Coach and Entertap. I think I did Sunday and Monday. The Canadiens played on Tuesday. Then I did a show on last night with Coach, Friday night with Coach, and then tonight, and then tomorrow. So we'll see. I probably will, but I don't want to make a promise. So the fans feel worse about the game than the players. The players feel, I don't know if the players are, again, I think the players feel bad about the loss, but again, I think the players will get over it and realize that they have to play a game tomorrow and that they need to go home and get some sleep and show up tomorrow and be ready to go tomorrow. I raised a big red flag on Leafs' first goal tonight. Many players lost assignment, but none showed selfishness. Devo and opened the door. You can play. Yeah. Again, I thought, there was a lot of puck luck there tonight that didn't go the Canadiens' way. A lot of opportunities where they had a scoring chance that went down the other end and went the other way. Scoreboard. Want to see the scoreboard? All right. Scoreboard is right here. There you go. Itua, there's your scoreboard. Devo is a vet who should know better. Yeah. Again, it is what it is. He's playing because you guys have no defense. What do you mean, you guys? I don't play on the team, Itua. Are you here to be an asshole, Itua? If you're here to be an asshole, Itua, I'll just invite you to leave. If you want to have a serious conversation about the game, happy to have it. But again, if you're here to talk and have nothing of value or intelligence to say, then you're probably in the wrong spot. I'm writing your bill. You're bringing in Rofi. Down tonight. Profits down. Got you. Has more to do with the score. It was 3-0 Leafs. Wi-Fi would easily taken that. Yeah. Again, I think that Arbor Jack guy is learning that there's a lot more to playing the role that he plays in the NHL than fighting. I mean, you saw, what did he do, right? Ryan Reeves wanted to fight him at the end of the first period, and what did he do 5 minutes into the second period? He just completely buried Ryan Reeves. Arbor Jack guy is a hockey player, right? Ryan Reeves is an enforcer. Arbor Jack guy serves a purpose on the Montreal Canadiens. He's not there to fight. The fact that he can fight is obviously a benefit, and it's part of his toolbox, but he's not. That's not his sole purpose on the ice. And for him to miss 5 minutes of a game, one, because he's a defenseman, and 2, because he's, a valuable member of that team, it's not ideal. Especially if, the exchange is Ryan Reeves, right? Ryan Reeves is basically putting in the same kind of minutes that Michael Pezzetta is, but he's doing it all the time. Right? He's putting in 5 minutes a game on a regular basis. So, for me, Intertap, that goal was a big no-no. Let the Leafs beat you, not being too greedy. Okay, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there. Vancouver is choking their lead. It's 3-2, 5 minutes left in the second. All right, A2, have a nice night. Go watch some hockey. Maybe learn something. You can stick around and learn something. I wish you could mute people on here. Can you mute people? Empty calories, Nick. For the first time in his NHL career, he got physical tonight. He now need a dentist. Okay, I don't know if that's first time. What do you mean? You think that Nick Suzuki was physical for the first time in his NHL career? Were you watching the game, Patrick? I guess it was about 3 weeks ago now when he introduced himself to Nikita Kucherov. Other than Woll, which player from the Leafs impressed me in this game? I mean, the big three were impressive tonight. I mean, Marner and Nylander and Matthews are impressive hockey players. They're good at what they do. They all three of them play a different style of game, and they're all really good at it. So, Jack Guy pointed to the scoreboard. Well, again, it was 3-0, Zachary. He's telling him, listen, I'm not going to fight you when it's 3-0. I don't think again, maybe he was trying to show him up a little bit, but again, it's basically, you're being an idiot. Why would I fight you when they're up 3-0? Why would I do that? Reeves hasn't had any fights this season? Is that right? Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he hadn't had a fight all season. I don't know if is that right? I mean, he has to jump a guy to fight a guy. I mean, I don't think anybody's afraid of Ryan Reeves anymore. I think there's 4 or 5 guys in the NHL who are more than happy to stand up to Ryan Reeves. Wendell, he's a good. He's obviously still, I would say, probably the heavyweight champ in the league because he hasn't been soundly beaten yet to the point where you could take that title away from him. But again, I think there's probably a few guys in the league that would be more than happy to have a go with Ryan Reeves. But again, the game is kind of evolving away from Ryan Reeves right now. His team plays more confident when he's in the lineup. Okay. Well, if you believe that, Mike, then I don't think you really understand much about the game of hockey. If you think that Arbor Jackeye only has marginal value over Ryan Reeves, then yeah, I think you might want to open your eyes a little bit. When Montreal starts to make the playoffs, Wi-Fi's not in the top 6. Well, frankly, Mike, that's not a very smart comment. You don't have the first clue what you're talking about. Marner, Nylander, and Matthews are underrated. I don't know if they're underrated, but they're pretty damn good hockey players. Yeah, again, it was. The goalie played better. The Canadiens. I mean, Cole Caulfield had 10 friggin' shots on goal tonight. Right? What was Cole Caulfield's shooting percentage coming into the game tonight? Like 18%? And he had 10 shots on goal. Can I say one thing I admire about Leafs fans? I have no problem with Leafs fans. I have no problem with fans of any team that are willing to speak objectively and civilly about their team. And frankly, most Leafs fans are that way. I have no problem with Leafs fans. I have no problem with the Leafs. I never have, and I probably never will. But what I do have a problem with is people who come in and they just want to. They want to talk without, having any information or evidence to support what they're saying, or they just want to come in and, just ramble on about how awesome their team is and how shitty everybody else is. It's just not. I'm not interested in having that from Canadiens fans, right? I call out Canadiens fans all the time for not, taking intelligent approach to their team or other teams. So, can you say that about Reeves? But until he's beaten, he's the heavyweight champion. That's what I just said, Cheese Wizard. That's exactly what I just said. I said until somebody beats him, he's still the champ. But again, I don't think it's a situation anymore where other players there's no one in the league that is willing to take on Ryan Reeves. I don't think that Matthew Olivier is afraid of Ryan Reeves. Arbor Jackeye is not afraid of Ryan Reeves. We've already seen that. Matt Rempe is not afraid of Ryan Reeves. He should be because he's a terrible fighter, but he's not. So there's a few, like, it's not a situation where Ryan Reeves is everyone's petrified of him anymore. I don't think that's the situation anymore. You would take Reeves 1,000 times over Pizzetta? Why? What? Where would you put him on the Montreal Canadiens lineup, Patrick? Yeah, Caulfield's looked really good all year, Zach. Again, surprising that he wasn't able to score because when he gets those kind of opportunities, he's certainly done that. Do I think he's a top D on a playoff team? Don't insult my mullet. Well, let's do this. How about this? If you want to insult your knowledge of hockey, let's let the facts insult your knowledge of hockey, which is probably somewhere in the negatives. So let's go here. We'll actually look up on ice. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to insult the knowledge of hockey that is non-existent, but we'll try. We'll try our best. Is this app going to work or not? Arbor Jackeye. Sorry guys, this website is a little bit slow. Natural Stat Trick. Where is his? So Arbor Jackeye has a expected goals percentage. This is in 5-on-5. Let's go to all strengths. Expected goals percentage of 49% right now. Shot for percentage of 45%. That's a little bit low. He is 102 hits so far this year. That's not a big deal. Does anybody think that Arbor Jackeye is not a top 6 defenseman in the NHL? He'd be a top 6 defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs, I can tell you that much. Well, that's because he played 5 minutes. Michael Pizzetta also finished at the top for the Canadiens tonight, Cheese Wizard. It was a crazy game. Nujalea. He definitely is, Zach. Again, I'm not going to have the. I mean, again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. We'll see how it goes, right? No one's going to know anything. Well, what I do know about Arbor Jackeye is he's a kid who wasn't drafted into the OHL. He ended up being a very high level performer in the OHL. He didn't get drafted in the NHL. He showed up to Montreal Canadiens camp. He made the camp. He made the team as an 18-year-old. And since then, the improvements that he's made to his game have been like phenomenal. He's gone from being, a very raw defenseman to a guy who can be put on the ice in just about any scenario, and you can feel comfortable that he is going to be just fine out there. He still is only 22, 23 maybe, and continues to improve. He's shown the ability to learn. He's shown the ability to develop. He's shown the ability to get better. He is absolutely 100% clearly a top 6 defenseman on any team in the NHL. And if he continues to improve at anywhere near the rate he has so far in his career, I think he will be a very good third pairing defenseman on just about any team that wants him. So if you don't believe that, then you're entitled to your opinion. But it is what it is. Is his brother going to get called up soon, or is he a ways away? I'd say he's still a bit of a ways away, Wendell. I don't think he's by any means a guarantee. Well, for starters, Mike, he's a left-handed shot. Second of all, he is big. He is mean. He's extraordinarily strong. He's very much, again, if you can find, okay, if you think that Ryan Reeves is more valuable to the Toronto Maple Leafs than Arbor Jackeye is to the Canadiens, then I guess I can't really have much to say to you. I just don't think that you have the first clue what you're talking about. So we'll leave it at that. How about that? I mean, what? Name me one thing on the hockey rink that Ryan Reeves does better than Arbor Jackeye. Like, name me one contribution, one thing that he does better than Arbor Jackeye. One thing. Does he skate better than him? No. Does he shoot better than him? No. Does he hit better than him? No. Does he fight better than him? No. Like, what does Ryan Reeves do? Name one thing that Ryan Reeves does better than Arbor Jackeye. Like, give me, one thing. There's not one thing. Doesn't exist. I'll look forward to hearing your answer because I'm sure you'll come up with something that you think is the case. But anyways, if you're not subscribed yet, guys, hit the button down below. YouTube says that only 35% of the people who watch the show are subscribed. We're trying to grow the community here, so if you if you want to join, you want to grow the community, help us out. It would be really great whether you're watching live in a replay. Hit that button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you hit the notification bell, you get notified when we go live. And give us the thumbs up, guys. We only have 19 thumbs up. There's 21 people in here and only 19 thumbs up. They're different positions. That has nothing to do with the convo. These guys have two bottom end of their respective teams. You're saying one is much more. He is. He's 100% more valuable. He's like 100% more valuable. Like Ryan Reeves is next to no value, and Arbor Jackeye is a quality third pairing defenseman in the NHL. That's the difference between them. So he's much more valuable. Does much more than what? What do you mean? Jackeye is physical. He plays well in his own zone. He moves the puck well. He skates well. He has a good shot. Ryan Reeves might as well be going out there with a broom handle. Ryan Reeves contributes absolutely nothing on the ice other than a bit of a physical or intimidation presence. And even then, he's so, he can skate not badly, in straight lines, but as far as, changing directions and what have you, well, he's got more experience that way, Patrick, perhaps. He's got more experience, so he kind of has been there and done that before, and I don't know what you mean by more composure, necessarily. Revo is really good at keeping the puck hemmed in. In his own ozone or the other teams? Am I in crazy town right now? Like people expressing that Ryan Reeves is a better player than Arbor. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. Like, Arbor Jacki is averaging 15 minutes a game this year, and Ryan Reeves is averaging under 8 when he's actually dressed. Yeah, I would have no desire to have Ryan Reeves on my team. I don't think he serves any positive purpose on any team, and I think you can find players in the NHL who serve the one or two things that Ryan Reeves does bring to a team. I think you can find guys in the NHL who can do those same things, who can actually also play hockey, right? So you can find guys like Matthew Olivier who do the exact same thing as Ryan Reeves, but also have a level of hockey talent to actually contribute in other ways to the team. Oh my god! Double, Mike, double the ice time. Okay, I don't even understand what that means. Revo is really good at keeping the puck in the offensive zone. What does that mean? I didn't say that he's never had any value, Mike. I said that he has no value right now. There was a time when he had value. The NHL game has evolved quite a bit, as you may or may not know. There was a time where his style of play had more value in the NHL. There also was a time when he wasn't 37 years old, right? So there was a time where he was 30 years old playing in the NHL that was very different than it is today. I never said that he's never had any value. He doesn't have any value right now, right? I don't know what you want me to say. Like, if you're asking me, has Ryan Reeves ever had any value? Of course he has. Of course he has. He was obviously a better player when he was 27 than he is at 37. He was obviously better 10 years ago when the NHL, there was a call, there was a place on the ice for a guy like him. And plus he was able to contribute in other ways. He was a better offensive player back then. He was better at a lot of things back then than he is now. So again, if we're talking about stupid arguments, I don't understand what you mean by that. Well, again, he's not even that kind of fighter anymore, Wendell. He's not the dominant fighter in the NHL anymore. Yes, and that's exactly what I said. I said that Arbor Jacki is Cale Makar. I said that he's a productive and valuable third pairing center or third pairing defenseman. That's the same way I describe Cale Makar. See, this is where the quality of your argument demonstrates itself, Mike. It's where you prove that your argument is weak because then you start resorting to hyperbole and to putting words into my mouth that I never said. Right? You've done that multiple times now, right? Like you said, first of all, you said that I said that he's never had any value. Now you're saying that I've compared Arbor Jacki to Cale Makar. So again, if you want to prove that your argument, you don't have very strong argument, the easiest way to do that is to start, using a hyperbole and putting words into the other person's mouth. So, how many games we have the Habs with H.A.D lost compared to the Leafs with Revo in the lineup? I don't know, Cheese Wizard. Why don't you look that up? Anyways, gang, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth here for this show tonight. I think we've kind of played out this game. I think we've discussed everything that needs to be discussed about the game. Right now, we're at the point where we're getting a bunch of Toronto trolls in here, which is fine. I don't mind talking to Toronto fans. I actually quite enjoy it. But we're getting people who see the world through Toronto blue glasses. I'm not really interested in getting into that. It's frankly why we left other platforms to come over here. So anyways, let's finish the show off. We're almost 2 hours in now anyway. I really do appreciate all of you for coming. Thank you so much. It's been a good show. The Canadiens go down 7-3 to the Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday night at the Bell Centre. Not the way the Canadiens would have wanted things to go out. The score I don't think was indicative of the play. I thought the Canadiens played better than that. However, the score is what it is. And it is a loss. They will look to rebound tomorrow against the New York Rangers. That's probably good news that they don't have to sit on this loss for 2 or 3 days and have the media tear it apart and the Canadiens fans, start calling for Marty St. Louis to be fired again and guys to be sent down to the minors and, all of that good stuff that always happens in Montreal after a bad result. So it's probably good news that they're playing tomorrow on Sunday. If you are not yet subscribed and you enjoy the content, please do so by tapping right down below on the button there. There is a subscribe button. There is a notification bell. There's also a thumbs up button. For whatever reason, we only got to 20 likes tonight. I don't know what, maybe I'm doing a shitty job. Maybe I am spending too much time arguing with people about Ryan Reeves and things like that, wasting too much time on JT Miller and stuff like that. Maybe you guys don't enjoy that, so I'll try and fix that for the next show. We'll focus a little bit more on the things that you guys want to talk about. I do apologize for that. But again, like I said, if you are not yet subscribed and you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the thumbs up. If you're watching live, if you're watching in a replay, we appreciate you as well. I get that not everybody can stay up until 12 o'clock. After a game to watch the show. But if you are watching afterwards, we really do appreciate it. And we thank you for coming by. So that's pretty much it for tonight. The other thing, guys, I'll push as well, I guess, is the Blue Sky account. If you're not following us on Blue Sky or on Substack, I've created a Substack that nobody is using. I know that Substack is a new app and people are hesitant to join or to sign up to new apps. But it is a really cool spot. They do have a pretty good chat platform. And if you want to go over there, it's a good spot to talk about the games, between the games when we're not doing a show, all that good stuff. You can go in there, you can post your questions, you can post your comments, you can have your say. And, as the Recliner Sports community continues to grow, we'll have more and more people over there, to jump into that chat. So if you do feel inclined, it is a cool thing to do. It is a cool spot. It is a fun place to chat. It's way better than Twitter or Blue Sky. You get more than 140 characters. You can post your videos. You can post your pictures. You can do all that good stuff over there. And you don't have to deal with sort of the negative trolling and the casual fans that, we're seeing even in here tonight who, are more about, my team's awesome and your team sucks. So if you get a chance to check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. I post game day threads for all of the Canadiens games. I do post threads when Demidov plays, so if you want to talk about those different things, there's an opportunity to do all that. So, so that's pretty much it. Give us a follow over there. We're going to end the show here now. We got a few more questions just coming in here. I would put Anderson on the A team. He's starting to go good. Yes, Frank, I agree. All right, Entertap. It was good talking to you, man. We'll talk to you next time, Frank. Thank you for coming by. Same to you, Billy D. Thank you, Patrick. It is, Patrick, again, discussing it with, people that have next to no idea what they're talking about is just, it's just, they just, anyways, it's a waste of time. Go Leafs, go! I've cheered for the Leafs all along, Cheese Wizard. Like I said, if the Leafs were to win the Stanley Cup this year, I think it would be a really fun thing to watch. I don't hate the Leafs. Again, I don't get why people feel like that's such a surprising thing. Yeah, we'll see, Patrick. And again, it won't. The win won't matter. Sorry, the loss won't matter if they come back and have a good game tomorrow against the Rangers, and they'll just roll on to the next one. It's all good. It's all good. One more chance, guys. Thumbs up. We got 22 there. Can we do 25 before we end the show? We're going to end the show here now. There's 18 of you in here. I'm sure that all of you have not. I'm sure that not all of you have hit that thumbs up. If you are enjoying the show, then give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. If you don't like the show, we'll happily take a thumbs down as well. So, anyways, that's all she wrote. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. This is Habs After Dark. My name is Devin. Canadiens lose 7-3 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're back on the ice tomorrow against the New York Rangers. Should be a good game. We'll see how they respond to this loss, this disappointing loss, and we'll see what it looks like on the ice tomorrow. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody for coming. It's been a great time. It was a little frustrating at times. I do apologize for getting frustrated. It does happen, but yeah, it is what it is. Thanks so much, gang. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.